You watch your bird circle your loft after a race, wings strong, flight steady, and your heart swells with pride. But then instead of diving into the trap, it lands on your neighbor's roof. It sits there calm as if it doesn't recognize home. You call, you wave, nothing. And you wonder what went wrong. The truth is, it's not the bird's fault. It's the trap. And 95% of fanciers make the same 3 mistakes with their trap. Mistakes that confuse, repel, or scare their birds away from home. Today I'll show you the exact trap setup used by Heremans, Louis van der Velde, and other champions, so your birds never land on the wrong roof again. The reality nobody wants to admit. Your bird just flew 300 kilometers. Started at dawn, flew through changing winds, navigated by sun and magnetic fields, avoided hawks, crossed cities, forests, rivers. Its muscles are screaming. Its energy reserves are nearly empty. Its only thought is home, and then it sees the familiar skyline. The church steeple it trained past 100 times, the water tower that marks the 2-kilometer point, the cluster of trees that means almost there. Its heart surges. Home is close, but it cannot find the trap. So it circles, once, twice, 3 times. Each circle burns energy it doesn't have. And with each circle, doubt creeps in. Is this the right building? Maybe home is 1 street over. And then your neighbor's loft catches the bird's eye. The exhausted pigeon makes a choice. A wrong choice, but an understandable one. This happens thousands of times every race season. Across Europe, across America, across every continent where pigeons race. Good birds, champion bloodlines, perfect training, and they land on the wrong roof because the trap was invisible, confusing, or frightening, not because the bird is weak, because the fancier didn't understand what the bird needed. Mistake 4-1, trap placement. The fatal flaw. Let's start with the most common error, trap placement. Most lofts place the trap on the side of the building, hidden from the southern approach, but races almost always come from the south. If the bird must circle to find the entrance, it burns precious energy, loses confidence, and may give up. The ideal trap faces south or southeast, directly into the primary flight path. It should be visible from at least 500 meters away, unobstructed by gutters, vents, or overhanging branches. A bird returning from a 300-kilometer race is exhausted. It does not have the energy to search. It needs to see home and dive. Be specific about placement. The trap should be positioned on the highest point of your loft roof, not on the side wall, not tucked under an overhang, on top, where it can be seen from every angle of approach, free from obstructions within a 5-meter radius, no antenna, no chimney, no vent pipe, no tree branches, nothing that blocks line of sight or creates shadow, angled 15 to 30 degrees toward the south, not flat, not vertical, angled so birds approaching from the race direction see the entrance opening clearly. Elevated 20 to 30 centimeters above the roofline, this creates a distinct silhouette against the sky. A flat trap blends with the roof. An elevated trap stands out. Your old birds know where the trap is. They've landed there 100 times. But what about your young birds? What about the yearlings racing for the first time in hard wind, approaching from an angle they've never trained? One missed trap on a young bird's first race creates a psychological scar. The bird remembers home is hard to find. That memory makes every future race more stressful, slower, more prone to error. Heremans' trap has been in the exact same position for 20 years, centered on the south-facing slope of his loft roof, elevated on a small platform completely unobstructed. When his birds are 1 kilometer out tired, they don't think. They just dive. Because the trap is exactly where their instinct says it should be. Wind changes everything. Placement isn't just about direction. It's about wind. Pigeons approach into the wind whenever possible. It gives them control, slows their speed for landing, feels natural. A trap placed with no consideration for prevailing winds forces birds to land with a tailwind. Difficult, dangerous, unnatural. Check your local wind patterns. In most of Europe, prevailing winds come from west or southwest. Birds approaching from the south will naturally swing slightly west, as they prepare to land to turn into the wind for final approach. Your trap should be positioned with this in mind. Not directly south-facing if your wind comes from southwest. Southeast-facing, so the approach path naturally aligns with the bird's instinct to turn into the breeze. Some fanciers lose birds consistently on landing approach. The trap is perfectly visible, well-marked, correctly colored, but it faces due south, and prevailing wind is from the west. Birds approach, swing west to land into wind, lose sight of the trap for 2 to 3 seconds, and in those seconds, panicked and exhausted, they land on the nearest roof instead. Rotate the trap 30 degrees to the southeast. Losses often stop immediately. Same birds, same bloodlines, different angle. At Pigeon Healthy, natural support for trap confidence. At Pigeon Healthy, we know that even with the perfect trap, birds can be stressed by the confusion of landing in the wrong place, by predator encounters, or by the psychological pressure of racing. That's why we use a gentle plant-based calmative to restore their confidence after difficult returns. This isn't about sedation. This isn't about drugs. This is about supporting the bird's natural ability to process stress, overcome fear, and rebuild positive associations with home. Our formula combines chamomile, passion flower, and lemon balm, 3 herbs with centuries of use in animal care. Chamomile soothes the nervous system. Passion flower reduces anxiety without drowsiness. Lemon balm supports cognitive function and memory, helping birds maintain clear associations between home and safety. Steep 1 teaspoon of the blend in 1 liter of hot water for 10 minutes. Cool completely. Add to drinking water for 24 hours after any stressful return. Wrong roof landing, predator encounter, or simply an unusually hard race. The bird drinks. The herbs work gently. Within hours, you'll notice the bird is calmer, more willing to approach the trap during training, less hesitant on landing. Not because we've drugged it, because we've supported its natural recovery from stress. But this recipe is reserved for our Pigeon Healthy subscribers only, as a thank you for supporting natural care. If you're already subscribed, comment Pigeon Healthy abone oldham, trap calm terrafini almagisturum, and I'll share it with you right here. Because natural care isn't about shortcuts. It's about working with biology, not against it. It's about understanding that a bird's confidence in its trap is both physical and psychological. And psychology can be supported naturally and safely. The height equation. Optimal trap height depends on your surrounding environment. Rural area with few buildings? Roof-level trap is perfect. Your loft is the tallest structure. Birds can see it from kilometers away. Suburban area with houses of similar height? Roof-level trap disappears into visual clutter. Every roof line looks the same from altitude. You need elevation. A trap raised on a 1-meter pole or positioned on a specially built platform breaks the horizontal monotony and creates a distinct vertical landmark. But elevate too much and the trap becomes difficult to service, harder to keep clean, exposed to extreme weather that can damage the mechanism. The ideal is minimum elevation necessary to create distinction without creating problems. For most suburban lofts, 50-80 centimeters of elevation is enough. For rural lofts, roof level is fine. For urban lofts surrounded by taller buildings, you may need 1 to 2 meters of elevation, or a rooftop flag system that extends higher than the trap itself. Shadows matter. Your loft casts shadows. Those shadows can help or hurt trap visibility. Sunny day, trap on south side of roof is fully illuminated while north side is in shadow. This contrast helps. Your trap glows while the rest of the roof is dark. Overcast day or morning evening when sun is low, shadows disappear. Your trap loses its contrast advantage. Position your trap not just for maximum visibility, but for maximum lighting variety. A trap placed slightly off-center on the south-southeast face catches morning sun, midday sun, afternoon sun. It's almost never in shadow except briefly at sunset when most birds have already returned. East-facing trap, brilliantly lit at dawn, shadowed by afternoon. West-facing trap, invisible in morning when birds often return from training. South-southeast position, the compromise that works in most conditions most of the time. Mistake 2. Trap color and contrast, the invisible door. The second mistake is trap color and contrast. A trap painted the same color as the roof blends in. To a bird scanning the horizon, it disappears. Pigeon vision is different from human vision. They see ultraviolet light. They detect polarized light patterns. They perceive motion at rates we cannot process. But at distance, exhausted, with sun in their eyes, they rely on the same thing we do, contrast. Gray trap on gray roof is invisible. Brown trap on brown roof disappears. Green trap surrounded by trees becomes part of the foliage. When your bird is tired, its brain simplifies the world into shapes and contrast. Complex colors blend together. Subtle shades are ignored. Only stark differences register. The solution is stark contrast. Paint the trap frame bright red, white, or yellow, colors that stand out against natural backgrounds. Add a small strip of reflective tape above the entrance to catch the sun. Break this down by color. Red, most visible color in nature, stands out against blue sky, green vegetation, gray buildings. Pigeons see red extremely well. Downside, can fade in intense sun. Needs repainting every 2 to 3 years. White, brilliant against dark roofs and stormy skies. Reflects maximum light, easy to maintain. Downside, in winter against snow, blends in. In bright sun, can create glare that repels birds. Yellow, compromise color. Visible in almost all conditions. Doesn't fade as quickly as red. Doesn't glare like white. Used by many top lofts in Belgium and Netherlands. Must be bright, almost neon yellow. Pale yellow is useless. Orange, the secret weapon. Combines visibility of red with brightness of yellow. Stands out in fog, rain, dusk. Rarely found in nature, so it registers immediately as artificial and human-made, which to a racing pigeon means home. Downside, harder to find in standard paint colors. One fancier in the Netherlands painted his trap bright red and added a white border. His young bird return rate on 100-kilometer races jumped from 65% to 92% in one season. Not because his birds were better, because they could see the door. Color alone isn't enough. You need contrast borders. Solid red trap is visible. Red trap with white 10-centimeter border is unmistakable. The border creates a frame that the bird's eye locks onto, even in peripheral vision. The exact formula used by Louis van der Velde. Trap body bright orange. Entrance frame white 8 centimeter wide. Top edge reflective silver tape 3 centimeter wide. Landing board natural wood, the only non-painted element to provide familiar texture and scent. This combination is visible in full sun, overcast, rain, and twilight. Orange draws the eye from distance. White frame sharpens focus as bird approaches. Reflective tape catches any available light, creating sparkle that registers even in peripheral vision. Natural wood landing board provides tactile confirmation. This is home. The reflective tape secret. Standard reflective tape like you'd use on bicycle or mailbox is designed to reflect car headlights. It bounces light back toward the source. Useless for pigeons because the light source, the sun, is not behind the bird. It's above or to the side. What you need is prismatic reflective tape designed for marine or aviation use. This type reflects light in multiple directions, creating visible sparkle from any angle. More expensive, about 10 times the cost of standard tape, but a single strip lasts for years. Apply a 3 to 5 centimeter strip along the top edge of your trap entrance, not inside the trap where it's only visible after landing, not on the sides, on top where it catches sun throughout the day and creates a visual beacon. On a clear day with sun at right angle, prismatic tape is visible to naked eye from over 2 kilometers away as a tiny point of light. To a pigeon's sharper vision, likely from even farther. In low-light conditions, early morning, late evening, overcast, when colored paint becomes muted, that tiny sparkle can be the only thing visible. Pattern recognition, flags, and movement. Some fanciers add flags, wind socks, or spinning elements above their traps. Do these work? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. The principle is sound. Moving object is more visible than static one. Flag fluttering in wind creates motion that draws the eye. But execution matters. Small flag 20 by 30 centimeter piece of cloth is pointless. Too small to be seen from distance adds unnecessary visual clutter up close. If you're using a flag, it needs to be at least 60 by 90 centimeter mounted on 2-meter pole above trap, in a color that contrasts with sky, red or orange, never blue. Wind socks are better. Tubular shape is visible from all angles. Movement is constant in even light wind. But they must be checked weekly because a torn or collapsed wind sock is worse than no marker at all. It signals something is wrong to a returning bird. Gaston Van de Wouwer. I tie a small red cloth above the trap. It flutters in the wind, and my birds see it from half a kilometer away. Notice small red cloth, not a large flag, not elaborate structure. Just 40 by 40 centimeter piece of red fabric tied to flexible pole that moves naturally with wind. Simple, visible, reliable. Critical point most fanciers miss. Whatever visual marker you add must be permanent. Your birds memorize the complete visual pattern of home. Put up a flag for race season and take it down in winter. You've just changed the appearance of home. Birds recognition becomes conditional, uncertain. Better to have a marker that stays up year-round, becomes part of the landscape. Requires zero thought from the bird. Mistake semper 3. Scent confusion, the invisible repellent. The third error is scent confusion. Pigeons use smell as a navigation aid, especially in the final kilometers. They memorize the unique odor of their loft, the wood, the feed, the droppings, even the fancier scent. But if the trap area smells different, like paint, plastic, or cleaning chemicals, the bird hesitates. It sniffs, unsure. Is this home? Pigeons don't navigate long distances, primarily by smell, but at short range, the last 100 meters, the final approach, the moment of landing, scent is a confirmation signal. It tells the bird, you are in the right place. Birds see home, but if it doesn't smell like home, doubt enters. And doubt in an exhausted bird can mean the difference between landing and circling one more time, and that one more circle can end with the bird on the wrong roof. The fix is simple. Never use strong cleaners near the trap. Never paint or varnish the entrance during racing season. If you must repair, do it in the off-season and let the smell fade for weeks. What creates scent confusion? Fresh paint or varnish. Chemical smell can persist for weeks, even after it seems dry to your nose. To a pigeon's more sensitive olfactory system, it's overwhelming. If you must paint, do it in November. By February, when training starts, scent will have faded enough. Plastic or synthetic materials. Many modern traps use PVC or plastic components. Durable and weather-resistant, but they smell wrong. Wood smells like home. Plastic smells like nothing or worse, like something foreign. If you must use plastic parts, rough them up with sandpaper and expose them to weather for at least a month before installation. Bleach or ammonia-based cleaners. Used to disinfect the trap area, these leave sharp chemical scent that birds find repellent. Use plain water and stiff brush. If you need disinfection, use diluted apple cider vinegar. It disinfects naturally and the scent is mild and non-threatening. Essential oils or fragrance products. Some fanciers try to create pleasant scent for their birds with lavender oil or other fragrances. Terrible idea. You're not creating pleasant scent, you're creating confusing one. Birds' memorized home scent is complex. Wood, grain, droppings, dust, the fancier's skin oils from handling. Adding lavender obscures the real scent signature. Predator scent. If a cat has walked on your roof or a hawk is perched near your trap, the predator scent lingers. Birds detect this and avoid the area instinctively. You can't see it or smell it, but it's there. If birds approach but don't land, check for predator signs, fur, feathers, droppings. Wash the area with water and let it air out for several days. Better yet, rub a small piece of familiar loft wood or bedding near the trap to reinforce the scent of home. Leo Heremans keeps a small cloth in the loft tucked near the perches where birds sit daily. It absorbs the scent of the birds, the wood, the feed. Once a week, he rubs this cloth on the landing board of his trap. The scent is barely perceptible to human noses, but to his birds, it's a clear signal. This is your place. Seasonal scent changes. Scent changes with the seasons. In summer, your loft smells different than in winter. Warmer, drier, dustier. In spring, when birds are breeding, the loft has distinct hormonal scent. In fall, when molt occurs, there's more dander and feather dust. A bird that trains all winter and then races for the first time in spring approaches a loft that smells subtly different from what it memorized. This can cause brief hesitation, maybe just 1 to 2 seconds. In a tight race, that's enough to lose positions. The solution is consistency. Keep your loft routine consistent year-round. Don't switch feed types between seasons. Don't deep clean just before race season starts. Don't introduce new bedding materials in spring. The goal is to make the scent signature as stable as possible, so returning birds find the exact smell they remember. Mistake Hemsham 4. Human presence. The invisible predator. But the deepest mistake is human presence at return time. Many fanciers stand near the trap when birds return, calling, waving, or opening the door manually. This seems helpful, but to a wild animal, a human near the entrance is a predator. The bird circles, wary. It lands on a neighbor's roof instead. Your birds do not love you, they tolerate you, they associate you with food and safety. But deep in their DNA, you are a large, two-legged predator. And when they are exhausted, stressed, and vulnerable, their instinct is to avoid you, especially if you're between them and safety. Watch your birds during training. When you release them from the roof and step back, they fly immediately. But if you stand in front of the trap, they circle, hesitating. This isn't because they're being social. It's because you're a threat. Now imagine that moment multiplied by exhaustion. Your bird has flown 400 kilometers. Operating on fumes. Its only thought is get inside, get safe, get water. And there you are standing right next to the entrance. Your large form blocking the approach. Your scent fresh and overwhelming. The bird's brain screams predator at the den. Danger. Avoid. So it lands somewhere else. Somewhere without a human. Maybe your roof, 10 meters from the trap. Maybe the neighbor's roof. Maybe a tree. And once it lands in the wrong place and realizes it's made a mistake, panic sets in. Minutes pass. The bird sits, frozen by indecision. And in those minutes, its chances of being caught by a real predator, hawk, cat multiply exponentially. The top fanciers know this. They stay inside the house. They watch from a window. They let the bird land and enter on its own. If the trap is stuck, they wait until the bird has rested, then fix it quietly. Trust is built in silence. Gaston Van de Wouwer. When his birds are expected, he goes inside his house, watches through a window with binoculars, sees them approach, land, enter, does not move, does not cheer, does not go outside to check the clock until at least 10 minutes after the bird is inside and has had time to drink and calm down. Why? Because even opening a door, even walking across the yard, sends vibrations and signals that can startle a bird that's still on edge. The bird needs to feel, I am safe. The predator is not here. I can relax. Only after the bird is calm, visibly preening, eating, or resting, does Gaston go out. And even then he moves slowly, quietly, with no sudden gestures. Compare this to the fancier who races across his yard when he sees his bird approaching, shouting, waving his arms, trying to guide the bird. The result? The bird veers off, lands somewhere else, and the fancier stands there, confused and angry, blaming the bird. Bob traps and minimal assistance. Some traps require human assistance. Bob traps where the entrance is a weighted door that the bird must push through. Sometimes need help, especially with young birds who haven't learned the mechanism. But you don't stand at the trap. You stand far back at least 5 meters at an angle where you're visible but not blocking the approach. And you don't yell. You make a soft, consistent sound. A whistle, a cluck, whatever your birds associate with safety. The same sound every time. Not loud, not frantic. calm and familiar. And if the bird doesn't enter within 30 seconds, you back away. You go inside. You let the bird figure it out. The worst thing you can do is train your birds to depend on you for entry. What happens when you're not home? What happens when a bird returns late at night? It sits on the roof waiting for you. Vulnerable. Better to spend extra time during training teaching your birds to work the bob trap independently. Release them during training, then immediately go inside. Force them to figure it out alone. The first few times will be stressful for you. You'll want to help, don't. Let them struggle for a minute. They'll figure it out. And once they do, they'll never forget. Trap shyness, recognition, and recovery. Sometimes a bird develops trap shyness, a learned fear of entering the trap. This usually happens after a traumatic event, trapdoor closed on the bird's wing, or a predator attacked near the trap, or the bird got stuck inside for hours in the heat. Once trap shyness develops, it's difficult to fix. The bird will return to the loft, circle, land on the roof but refuse to enter. You'll see it looking at the trap, wanting to go in but unable to overcome its fear. The traditional solution is forced re-entry, catching the bird, placing it just inside the trap, and letting it exit and enter multiple times to rebuild positive associations. This works, but it's stressful and time-consuming. Better solution is progressive desensitization. For 1 week, leave the trapdoor fully open, even wedged open so it cannot possibly close. Place food just inside the entrance. Let the bird enter and exit freely, dozens of times per day, with zero risk. The bird learns the trap is safe. There is no danger here. Then for the next week, allow the door to move freely, but remove the locking mechanism, so it swings but never latches. The bird learns to push through the moving door without fear of being trapped. Finally, reactivate the locking mechanism. By this point, the bird's fear response has been overridden by dozens of safe entries. This takes time, 3 weeks sometimes, but it saves a champion. Better 3 weeks of patience than losing a bird that could have founded your breeding program. Everything we've discussed, placement, color, scent, human behavior, must be maintained consistently for years, not just during race season, all year, every year. Your birds are building a mental map of home. That map includes reasonable landmarks, trap color, shape, position, scent signatures, wood, feed, loft, smell, kinesthetic memory, the feel of landing on the board, pushing through the door, emotional associations, safety, food, rest. Change any element of this map and you force your birds to rebuild their confidence. Change too many elements and some birds never fully trust the trap again. This is why champions like Leo Heremans don't change their traps for 20 years. Not because they can't afford upgrades, because consistency is more valuable than innovation. If you must make changes, repair damage, improve design, add visibility features, do it gradually. Change 1 element per year, not 5 elements at once. Give your birds time to adapt to each change before introducing the next. And always test changes during training season, never during race season. If your new trap design confuses birds during training, you can fix it. If it confuses birds during racing, you lose champions. The trap is a system. Stop thinking of the trap as an object. Start thinking of it as a system that includes physical design, the structure, the door, the landing board, the entrance size, visual signals, color, contrast, reflective elements, flags, shadows, sensory cues, scent, texture, even sound, the familiar creak of the door, psychological associations, safety, food, rest, relief, environmental context, surrounding buildings, trees, landmarks, wind patterns, human behavior, your presence or absence, your sounds, your routine. All these elements work together to create a single experience for the returning bird. This is home. I am safe. I can rest. Optimize one element and neglect the others, the system fails. A perfectly visible trap with the wrong scent repels birds. A perfectly positioned trap with a sticky door frustrates birds. A perfectly maintained trap with a human standing in front of it frightens birds. The system must work as a whole. Every element must reinforce the message, home, the training calendar for trap confidence. Let's be specific about building trap confidence throughout the year. November, December, off-season. On floral, repanses ventalic. Modestum skritsi. Let new paint and materials weather for at least 6 weeks. Observe birds' behavior around the modified trap. If birds show hesitation, adjust before training begins. January, February, pre-training. Begin daily trap exercises with young birds. Feed near trap entrance, multiple entries per day. Door open or deactivated. Focus on positive associations. Trap equals good things. March, early training. Activate trap mechanism. Short training tosses. 1 to 5 kilometers. Human stays inside during returns. Document any birds showing hesitation. Address immediately. April, May. Training intensifies. Longer tosses. 10 to 50 kilometers. Confirm all young birds entering confidently. June, August. Race season. 0 trap modifications. Weekly maintenance only. Cleaning, checking mechanism. Monitor for predator activity. Support stressed birds with natural calming herbs. September-October. Late season recovery. Maintain trap routine. Don't change anything. Continue monitoring for any birds developing trap shyness. Address any issues before birds go into winter rest. Document lessons learned for next season improvements. This calendar ensures your trap system evolves thoughtfully, not chaotically. Changes happen when birds can adapt safely. Race season remains stable and predictable. The neighbor problem. Your neighbor also races pigeons. His trap is 20 meters from yours. Your birds sometimes land on his roof. His birds sometimes land on yours. This is the reality of urban and suburban racing. You cannot control your neighbor's trap, but you can make yours more distinctive. The key is uniqueness. If your neighbor's trap is red, make yours orange. If his is on the south face, place yours southeast. If his is roof level, elevate yours. If he uses no flag, you use a small one. The goal is not to be better, it's to be different. Different enough that your birds approaching from distance see two options and instinctively choose the familiar one. But there's a limit to this strategy. If you're in a neighborhood with 15 pigeon lofts on the same street, differentiation becomes nearly impossible. In this case, focus on the one element that cannot be copied: scent. Your birds know the smell of your loft. Make sure that scent is strong, consistent, and unmistakable at the trap entrance. And train your birds with ultra-short tosses in the immediate neighborhood. Release them 200 meters away from the direction of your neighbor's loft. Let them learn to distinguish your roof from his, your trap from his, while they're still fresh and thinking clearly. This local familiarity becomes instinct. The cost-benefit analysis. Let's talk about money. Some fanciers spend thousands on trap modifications, motorized doors, LED lighting systems, elaborate structures. Others use a simple wooden box painted red. Who wins more races? There's no correlation. Money doesn't buy trap performance. Attention to detail does. A $50 trap that's perfectly positioned, correctly colored, consistently maintained, and surrounded by trained, confident birds will outperform a $2,000 trap that's poorly placed, inconsistently managed, and frightening to returning birds. Invest your money where it matters. Quality reflective tape, not the cheap stuff. $30–50. Simple, reliable door mechanism. No complex moving parts. $50–100. Total investment, $150. For a trap that will function perfectly for a decade. The rest is free. Your observation, your consistency, your patience, your discipline in staying inside when birds return. The mistakes that cost championships. Let's summarize the mistakes that lose races. Trap invisible from primary approach direction. Bird circles, wastes energy, lands wrong roof. Fix, reposition trap to south-southeast. Elevate if necessary. Trap same color as roof. Bird can't distinguish home from surrounding buildings. Fix, repaint in bright contrasting color with white border. Trap area smells wrong. Bird hesitates due to scent confusion. Fix, eliminate chemicals. Maintain consistent loft smell year-round. Human blocks trap during return. Bird perceives predator, avoids entry. Fix, stay inside, watch from window. Let bird enter independently. Trap mechanism sticks or fails. Bird pushes door doesn't open. Bird panics. Fix, weekly maintenance. Dry brush cleaning, immediate repair of any mechanical issue. Trap design change during race season. Bird's mental map no longer matches reality. Fix, make all modifications during off-season only. Young birds not trained to trap. Birds reach loft but don't know how to enter. Fix, extensive trap training starting at 6 weeks old. Predator activity near trap. Birds associate trap with danger. Fix, remove perching spots. Add physical barriers. Support stressed birds with calming herbs. Each mistake is fixable. Each fix is simple. But most fanciers never make the fixes because they don't recognize the mistakes. They blame the bird, the weather, the competition, never the trap. The champion's mindset. The best fanciers understand. The trap is not the last test. It's the first promise. It's the promise you make to your bird when you release it 500 kilometers away. I will make sure you can find home. I will make sure home is visible, familiar and safe. I will make sure that when you arrive exhausted and vulnerable, entry is easy and certain. That promise is kept through positioning the trap where the bird expects it, marking it so the bird can see it from distance, maintaining the scent signature, the bird remembers, staying out of the way so the bird feels safe, checking the mechanism so entry is never blocked, training young birds thoroughly so they know what to do, supporting stressed birds so they rebuild confidence. Keep that promise and your birds will keep theirs. To fly hard, to navigate accurately, to choose home even when exhausted, to dive into the trap without hesitation. Break that promise even once, with a move trap, a sticky door, a human blocking entry, and trust erodes. The bird still comes home, but slower, with more hesitation, with doubt. And doubt in racing is the difference between champion and also ran. Because the bird that flies 500 kilometers through wind and rain doesn't just need a trap, it needs a beacon. And it is your duty to make sure that beacon is clear, calm, and unmistakably home. The trap is where racing becomes trust, where speed becomes safety, where the bird's choice to return is validated or betrayed. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control the winds. You cannot control what happens in the sky over 500 kilometers of flight, but you can control the last 10 meters, the approach, the landing, the entry, those final seconds when your bird, after hours of flight, sees home and decides, yes, this is my place. Make those seconds certain, make them easy, make them safe, because in the end, we do not race pigeons to see how fast they fly. We race them to see how deeply they believe in coming back. And that belief begins and ends with the trap. If this helped you, hit like. It tells YouTube this matters. Share it with a fancier who's lost birds to the wrong roof. And in the comments, tell me what's one thing you'll change about your trap this week. And don't forget, for natural plant-based support that honors your bird's biology, subscribe to Pigeon Healthy, because your pigeons deserve care that works with nature, not against it.